think it would have been different in the way it turned out, and by that I mean with the Bill of Rights attended to it. Jefferson was a great advocate of human rights and human liberty, and so was Patrick Henry once more. You know, Patrick Henry would not go to the Constitutional Convention. He said, "I smell a rat," because he was worried that the influence of money men of the big cities, New York or Philadelphia or Boston, might prevail in that scenario over the common man. And this is exactly what Jefferson was worried about, and Adams was certainly concerned about that as well. So I think what was finally achieved, and Jefferson is certainly one of the greatest proponents in his correspondence with Madison, that he delights in the Constitution, though he believed the Articles of Confederation were of a venerable fabric. They did not need to be tampered with. But no, now he understood in maintaining, securing, and promoting the general welfare of the new states and commonwealths, the Constitution was necessary. And yet it must be amended with a Bill of Rights. That must follow the ratification process. You know, Madison wrote back, which was, I think, the general tenor of the Constitutional Convention. Well, all of these rights are inferred. Well, no. Jefferson wrote back, "We shall not rest upon inference. These must be written down decidedly." And that helped promote the idea of a Bill of Rights. So I think the way it turned out would have been the way Jefferson would have wanted it to turn out. You know, many people believe that Jefferson's appointment as Minister Plenipotentiary to France and Adams' appointment, though he was over in France to sign the Treaty of Paris, but his later appointment as minister to the court of St. James, to the English throne, was to keep them away from what they knew would ultimately come about in the Constitutional Convention. But they had their influence anyway, and they were continually corresponding, writing back and forth while they were there. By the recognition that they could no more unshackle themselves from this support of labor, this habit and custom into which they were born after many generations of its political economy here in the former colonies and as we became a nation, then we can unshackle ourselves from the same habits and customs, not in the enslavement of the individual against their natural rights and ignoring their natural rights. But Jefferson said whenever an individual spends money they do not have, they have enslaved themselves to their creditors. When you look at any element in which we've invested ourselves in our political economy from one generation to another, that has become so much a hold on our habits and customs from which we cannot easily extricate ourselves, there you have the essence of it. Any individual who may own property outright in which they've been invested through their lives or their family has been invested does not want to be told, release yourself of that property without any restitution. There's the crux of it. How are we going to get out of this? We know it's wrong, morally wrong. We know it's going to be ultimately disastrous to our political economy. How long are we going to support a system of labor by which only a very, very few benefit? What are we going to do about this? Jefferson's concern is, do not try to blow this apart by saying we're freeing our people now. And you know, he rarely, if ever, called his slaves my slaves. They were his people over whom he presided in welfare and maintenance. And he said, but let us move with patience to bring this to a gradual close. And we cannot coerce it, we cannot force it, because, as he so well knew, as Sir Francis Bacon wrote, force maketh nature more violent in the return. Doctrine and discourse maketh nature less importune. So he is saying we've got to collaborate, keep the conversation, keep the argument, keep the debate open, and gradually we will end the importation of slaves, end the expansion of it westwards, and begin to eradicate the laws of slavery on our books. Won't happen tomorrow. He said, I will never live to see the end of slavery, but by the day of our children's children, we may have a more universal abolition, which will then snuff out any small inklings of it that are still engaged. He didn't miss a thing. In fact, do you know when Jefferson was in his 70s, he actually worried whether the world was different because he had lived. He said, have I achieved anything? Have I done anything to better or improve the condition of mankind? And he lists all of his achievements, starting from the earliest interest to dredge the Upper James River out near where he lived in Charlottesville. And so therefore, I think it is about that time that he decides what he will have inscribed on his tombstone. And he's very specific about what the tombstone should be. It should be an obelisk 6 feet high. So there you see very much that regard for ancient history and man's continual reach to the heavens, and particularly upon his stature, 6 feet, to be placed on a cube 4 feet square, all right, this is all very Masonic too in its elements. But the square should have inscribed when he is born and when he has died. But the obelisk may have a plaque placed upon it says, "Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of American Independence, of the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, and father of the University of Virginia." Not one word more, he says in the instructions. By these three, as testimonials that I have lived, I wish most to be remembered. By those three. I mean, that's 3 more than anyone else can readily claim and what they've achieved for the benefit of humanity. I mean, it's remarkable. By the time Jefferson leaves office as President of the United States, our Declaration of American Independence is imitated by 2 new nations, Flanders in Europe and Haiti in the Indies, brought about by the slave rebellion. I mean, that's just the beginning. Now, in 2008, there are over 200, if not more, nations that have imitated the Declaration of American Independence. The Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom has promoted the longest period in human history where a people, a nation, have gone without violent conflict over a difference of religious opinion. And creating the University of Virginia has been the inspiration to the creation of many other state universities, not only in the United States, but universities throughout the world and in many new nations. Educate man, elevate man, change society, change the law. So I think it's remarkable. No, he didn't care for any mention of office. They were temporary. You know, after he's finished, someone else is coming along, and this will change in time. That offices will be representative of the people, and therefore that's what will keep our nation sustained and be an inspiration to others to change their laws and institutions as they grow as a people. He said, a child of 14 cannot wear the same clothes at the age of 40. Our laws and institutions should grow as we grow as a people.